Hello, everyone, and welcome to LTR. Is it 37? It's 37 of these we've done now. This is 3 years, over 3 years since COVID. I mean, COVID kind of forced us down this path of not meeting in person. I really like these events, I must say. This just is so incredibly convenient, and you can set your clocks to these every month. We're going to do them ad infinitum. We'll do the 100th one in a few years' time. We're committed to these every month ad infinitum. Love them. So this is a very special LTR because we've gone international on you. But let me just do a bit of housekeeping. These events are essentially organized by the Internet Dating Excellence Association, which is a group of several hundred online dating CXOs. If you're not in the LinkedIn or Facebook group, please do ping me via email. We'd love to have you in those groups. And if you're full-time at an online dating company of some form. Also, just to give our sponsors a shout out, this event is made possible by our long-term backing by Parship Meet Group and Real Me, and also our wonderful new partner, Dating Through Curiosity. So please do look them up and let me know if I can connect you with them. One thing to bear in mind with these sessions is that we will have Q&A after each of these speakers. And so I'll do an interview and then there'll be a presentation. But in both cases, we want you asking questions as well. So please have a look on the right-hand side. You'll see there's a questions section. Please put your questions in there and vote up questions that you really want. Put your own question in, but also even if you don't have a question, go in, have a look at the questions and see which ones you want most and vote them up, because I'm just going to pick off the top 2 or 3, okay? So yeah, and also shout out to my consultancy, Cortland Brooks. Let me know if we can help you ever. We help online dating companies grow and also help best-in-class vendors establish with the industry. Right, so we have 2 wonderful speakers for you today. Dari Olatoye is the co-founder and CEO of the dating app Trueflutter, which is actually based in Africa and serves Africa and diaspora. And he's got a very interesting story. So welcome, Dari. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for having me.
You know what caught my attention is, so you're actually on you've been through a couple of LTRs. Thank you. It's great to have you in the fray. And at the last one, you mentioned that you got 500,000 members. It's like, wow, that's really good. You've done really well. That's wonderful to hear. So what are you running at DAU at this stage, roughly?
DAU is about 346,000.
That's amazing. Fantastic. You know, I remember I actually did a post, it's 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now. We've been doing this so long on Online Personals Watch. I said, look, the African market is going to eventually be bigger than the Western market, if you think about it. If you just look at the numbers and stats, I mean, it's a very, very significant market. And it's somewhat off the radar, I must say, for a lot of West. I mean, there's talk of India, but you've got so many languages. I mean, can you tell us let's start with your founding story. I'd love to go back to your founding story. When did you start Trueflutter? Why did you start Trueflutter? And has it been everything you thought it would be?
Oh, yeah, okay. I started Trueflutter 5 years ago. And the reason why I started was that my sister got married at the age of 47. And the person she got married to just lived about 10 minutes away from her, who was also looking for a spouse for like close to 10 years. And now they're married, they have triplets, they're happily married. Myself and my brother thought that, okay, why can't technology solve this problem? We know that there's a gap in the country when it comes to dating. And that time I was actually single myself. So I said, okay, let's start something by solving a problem. And that's when we built our first MVP, which we launched about 5 years ago. So that's like the backstory of it. And yeah, in terms of challenges, when we started, when we started with the company, we got a coach called Matthias Pennas from Lab 8 to coach us for 6 months on how to build a dating app and how to scale a dating app. So we first, got like a coach to coach us for a few months to be able to understand the space, because I wasn't in the tech space at the time. I was in the downstream oil and gas sector. So it was a different space to me, so I had to learn for a couple of months before we built the MVP and we eventually launched it.
You mentioned that you tried 3 other dating apps before starting Trueflutter. Where I ask, what were those apps and what were those experiences like?
Tinder, Bumble, and Badoo. So those are the dating apps those are the popular dating apps in Nigeria, but they were known for a different reason. They were known for hookups. for people looking for casual hookups, and I just tried it out. First of all, I wanted to know the user experience, but I also wanted to know how we could do things better, how we can tweak things and make it better than what we were presently using in Nigeria then. And that's why I did a lot of research. So I actually did quite a number of research on other dating apps in the world before we built ours.
And how did you build it different? I mean, how's it different from the likes of a Bumble or a Badoo?
Okay, so the difference between African-owned, like Bumble is built by the Western companies, right? They don't really have an insight on the African culture and how Africans relate. So what made us build something different? We first did a lot of research on what Africans wanted to see based on customer feedback. So we built an MVP, got a lot of customer feedback. Then I would say we're the first people to start audio bio feature. And when you put an audio bio feature on your profile, and a lot of people can hear what you sound like. And in Africa, we have different social backgrounds, middle class, upper class, and lower class. And in a way, you can tell the person's social background from how they speak in Africa. So that's why we put the audio bio feature there. But also the most important one that we did was audio introductions. We noticed that dating apps like Hinge and Bumble used to just be swipe left or swipe right, see pictures. But we wanted to make it more much of the connection to be better. So we implemented an audio introduction where you can actually introduce yourself and send it to someone on the app. So not only the person sees your picture, but the person also hears what you sound like. Like, hey, my name is Dari. I'm the co-founder of Trueflutter dating app. I see you're into logistics. I'd really like to get to meet you. So, and that made it a different outlook. A lot of people love that feature in Africa because it just made it much more natural to connect with people. And that's why a lot of connections skyrocketed. So those are one of the few things that we added. But the other important thing that we did was that we made sure that you can filter by nationality. So right now, if you're a Nigerian and you're in New York and you only want to meet Nigerians, you can just filter by only Nigerians. So you can only see Nigerians or Africans in New York. Or if you're Kenyan, or you could even be from England and you say, oh, you want to only meet English people in America, then you can actually filter by nationality. So that's one feature that a lot of people also like, because a lot of people tend to get stressed when they swipe through so many people that they may not be interested in, and they already understand that they already know who they want to connect with. So it's easy to filter by nationality. So that's another feature that a lot of people really use in Africa.
Have you ever come across reverse search? A friend of mine used this example one time. It strikes me that reverse search could be quite interesting for you as well. So the friend in question was Indian, and he said he lived in Silicon Valley, and he said many years ago to me, you know what, I would like to meet women who like Indian guys in Silicon Valley. It's interesting, because you're talking about searching is okay, I'm interested in this location, which is great. But the other element of that is I'm interested in this location, but people who actually like me. So there's one extra dimension to that you might want to consider.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds like there's something about voice. I actually worked with a social voice startup and Swell. And there is something very emotional about voice. And that's also less limiting than visual, because guys are incredibly visual, aren't they? And so to actually have that connection with voice initially, you get a better sense of somebody. And if they're going to light your fire, I mean, at the end of the day, once you're 90 and wrinkly, you've got voice. So it's good to know if you interested in the voice at the outset, then you'll probably be interested in the voice when you're old and wrinkly as well. So why Trueflutter? You've got a very interesting name. How did Trueflutter come about?
So when we started, the name was actually Flutter, like butterflies flutter. But we noticed that there were so many companies called Flutter out there after we had already launched the platform. So it was a bit hard for us to distinguish ourselves from the other companies in the diaspora. Even though the other companies weren't dating apps, there were different names called Flutter, different companies, like tech companies. So we just put True in front of it, to just add it to that. And basically true love. I mean, when you meet someone that you really like, your heart flutters. And we're positioned as a matrimonial dating app. And that's basically our brand positioning. We shy away from hookups We don't like fraud. We don't like people looking for casual sex. So we banned. I feel that we're the number one dating app in Africa that bans people for these things. So on a daily basis, we ban over 150 people on the platform just for doing several things like violating our guidelines, and which one of those things would be hookup. So that's basically what we stand for, and that's our brand positioning, and that's how the name Trueflutter came about, because we couldn't. I mean, because there are other companies called Flutter too.
That's great. I saw on your homepage you've got a lovely video actually with a fellow who does a pseudo testimonial, which is very, very powerful. And you end with the true flutter. You kind of build up the meaning into the name. There was actually a company called True.com many years ago, by the way, in the industry that grew to very, very large. They grew to over $100 million a year. They started out as TrueBeginnings.com. But I think True Flutter, you've nailed it. I wouldn't go to True.com. It's been done. It didn't end well. I think True Flutter is superior. Yeah, I think another thing that comes to mind, by the way, you mentioned that you're banning people who want casual. You can actually spigot them off to casual dating apps and give them a home, and they'll be more likely to run with that home, and also you monetize. Basically, you can actually do affiliate links out. That's what we used to do with Plenty of Fish. So we had the same thing. We wanted to actually not have too many guys that were interested in casual. So a woman that would come onto online to Plenty of Fish and say they wanted long-term relationship would not see the guys who were searching for casual, even if they said in their bio they wanted long-term. If they're searching for casual, that's how they tell you what they really want. And then we would spigot them off to a link and monetize, and it was a very significant income. So yeah. So there's something to bear in mind. I wouldn't just, if you don't give them a home, they'll come back. So give them a reference out to something that will really work for them, and maybe you can make a commission off it as well. Yeah. So how many people are on the team? How many people have you got on the
We
Trueflutter
have
team?
the tech team. We're three on the tech team. We're just about 7.
Yeah.
We try to keep it lean because we try to keep it as lean as possible. So we recruit as we expand. We have some people that are, apart from the 7, people on the team, we have people on contract basis. So maybe another 2 extra people, like the videographer, the content guys. We just pay them on a contractual basis, and that's it. But for the team that it works 9 to 5, we're just 7.
Great. That's good. Keep it lean and mean and A players. Absolutely. It sounds like you've got a significant diaspora. What kind of split would you say you have between folks who are in Africa versus diaspora, may I ask?
So funny enough, it's really fascinating because 15% of our users are in the diaspora, but they bring about 50% of our revenue.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's because the purchasing power in the diaspora is it's higher than Africa. The pricing points are different. So basically, they're just 15%. And we haven't even started advertising in diaspora. It's just organic. And it's just shown a lot of promise in terms of subscriptions, and so basically just, but hopefully next year we'll start marketing in some states in America and in the UK too.
I noticed in the App Store that you called out a number of cities as well. So that would be good for your App Store optimization. You called out the major cities in Africa. Okay. So that's probably, referencing it quite nicely for you. And people seem very happy on the platform. You got 4.8 on Apple.
Yeah, we rank higher than Tinder, we rank higher than Bumble, we rank higher than most dating apps. A lot of people, when people talk about dating apps in Nigeria, the first people they talk about is us because of our reputation, of how we've had over 108 weddings in 3 years, registered weddings. So a lot of people tend to want to come there because of the success rates we've had so far, and that's why we rank higher. People tend to use us. And one thing I'd like to talk about is that when we built this app, we didn't say that we wanted Africans to use it because we're Africans. We said we wanted Africans to use it because our app was as good as the foreign dating apps out there. So we spent a lot of money on technology to make sure that in terms of the fluidity, the user experience was on the same level with maybe even better than Tinder and the likes there. So we really spent a lot of time researching and doing a lot of work and building a really good product.
I think there's a lot to be said for homegrown. The fact that you are keenly aware of the cultural nuances. There are going to be things that the Western companies miss, which don't make it feel like home, and that doesn't really help with confidence, does it? So the fact that you've done the attention to detail is what makes it home and resonant, and what helps you with the outstanding survey, the outstanding rankings, 4.4 on Android as well. So that's really outstanding. And so what would you say are the biggest challenges that you've had over the last year in growing the app and technology-wise as well?
Well, I think the biggest challenge would be the major challenge would be getting investment for this kind of business in Africa. Now, most of the investors that I come across they invest in fintech companies or LTech. They have the kind of companies they invest in. So it's been a bit difficult trying to get people interested in us. I mean, I know in the Western world, a lot of people have invested in dating apps. A lot of people have exited, made 10x, 20x of their investment, which is something that some of them are used to. But in Africa, it's a different case entirely. A lot of people, and although I've done quite a lot in the past, but a lot of people are not used to. I have to work 10 times as much as, even if I'm more successful than even a fintech app, I still have a lot of convincing to do in terms of that. So that was an issue, but I think the best way for me I always tell myself, the best way for me is to generate more revenue for myself. It puts me in a better space as a founder and as a company, and that's what I've been doing. The other thing I implemented on my app was that, so last year I had issues growing. It was growing at a certain rate, at a good rate, but I got ideas on how to scale without having to spend a lot of money. So that was a major issue. But I told myself one thing, okay, what do I have on the platform? I can give out some things for free. So for instance, if people share with their friends, they can get free flutters. I don't have to pay for that for marketing. I mean, I can give them that for free as long as they share. And once I implemented that, that's called in-app virality. Once I implemented that, I noticed that thousands of people started sharing with their friends without me having to pay for marketing. So that's why we've been able to do, for the past 2 years, we've been able to do between 24,000 to 30,000 new subscribers every month without having to pay for marketing. So those are the things. So for me, those were the issues that I have to tackle in terms of marketing, in terms of fundraising. But I've always had ways around it to try to solve those kind of problems and how to do it on my own. Because I mean, there's nobody that ride in the sunset and come save me. I have to save myself. So those are the things I had to solve myself. And in terms of technology, to be very candid and fair, I mean, the guys that work, the tech team that work for us, they're Ukrainians and Polish people, which I feel they're really good. And for now, I've not found the right people in this country. I know they are, but I've not found the right people to take over from these people. Even though I have a good relationship with my tech team, we've been working together for years, and I really love their inputs on the platform. So I have a very good relationship with them. But tech-wise, I've not found anybody locally to take over from them.
Gotcha. So tell us more about the flutters. That's very interesting. So when people share, you give them free flutters. Well, what's a flutter?
Yeah.
Is it like a pointer, virtual gift?
Yeah. So there's one thing. When we started, do you know the audio introductions? When you want to introduce yourself to someone, they're called flutters. But we noticed from our data analytics that a lot of people used to use it a lot. That time it wasn't monetized. Then we unbundled it and we now monetized it. So a lot of people started paying for flutters just to increase their revenue. And we now said, okay, since a lot of people have been paying for flutters, let's get people to share this thing, share the app with their friends, and they can get free flutters, like 3 flutters for sharing with their friends. And that's what we did. So flutters are they're basically voice introductions.
Yeah. Fantastic. Very smart. I can see how that works. Oh, you mentioned just before we jumped on that you launched Prime.
Oh, yeah.
And that was doing very well for you, like a matchmaking program.
Yeah. So a lot of people I have a lot of things that we do in the company. When we started Trueflutter, we wanted to know, you just can't have an idea and expect it to work. You have to do a lot of research. So when I started Trueflutter, actually, before I started speed dating events in Lagos for HNIs, high net worth individuals, bank managers, and co. And a lot of people used to come there. Like over 200 people used to come for my events. Then I started private matchmaking as a service. But when we started private matchmaking as a service, it was due to the demand of people saying, okay, they don't want to be on the platform, they don't want to be seen by everybody, and they just want something more private. And that's when we started we started doing that. But we now looked at it that, okay, like 2 months ago, we looked at it that how can we generate more revenue for the company? And we said, okay, let's create something called Prime. It's called Trueflutter Prime for high net worth individuals all around the world wanting to use that product. And when we launched Prime last month, we doubled our revenue. We doubled our revenue just last month. So we had like monthly revenue we should generate, but Prime alone doubled the revenue. And there's high demand. We noticed that there's high demand for this service in Nigeria and also in the diaspora. A lot of people from the Bay Area have reached out to us. They've registered, they've paid, and so it's been phenomenal in terms of the onboarding of people, and also in terms of the service we're rendering to people, because we know that, okay, there's a demand for that. And it's been really phenomenal since we started.
That's a really interesting story, given where the dating industry is at right now. And one of the things that we try and do with this event is have matchmakers join us, because I think they talk to so many users, singles, and I find matchmakers are very heart and soul. They've got the user perspective wrapped up, and they can really help inform us. Whereas the dating industry, we tend to be a bit more techie, a bit more marketing oriented, but never the twain shall meet. It seems like it's tough to find an environment where the two groups really get on. But you've kind of encapsulated these two aspects of the dating industry quite successfully now, and you've kind of got a real glimpse into this world of matchmaking. I'm intrigued. Is it a personal service with humans, or have you kind of automated? Have you tried to model the system of a matchmaker within the app?
So it's for now it's involved. I mean, humans are involved, so they have consultation sessions, and they pay for consultations, and we get to have an idea of what the kind of people they're looking for, and we now tend to give them matches based on their preferences. So it's not we wanted to put it on the platform, on the app itself, but of course it was going to be cost effective, and it will take a longer time. And we just said, okay, let's create a web-based service for them where they can register, and they can have consultation services, and we can be matching them based on that. So yes, so basically, and that's what a lot of people say in Nigeria, that what makes us stand out with our service with Prime is that they're always interfacing with the matchmaker and the company that would listen to them and get to know their dating history, but also get to know what they want, and we match them based on the match preferences.
They've really got someone to talk to then.
Yeah, they do.
What a novelty. You're bringing the personals back into personals. So do you do feedback? Do you give them feedback after? So say if the other person, they're on a date, it didn't go well, the other person's got some tricky feedback. It's like there's some key feedback that they need to give. They don't feel very comfortable with it though, because it's a bit offensive. Maybe, the mind boggles, but they give some feedback. What do you do with it? Do you get that feedback, first of all? And then if you do, what do you do with it?
First of all, I let them know that it's not a one-way street. Dating is a convergence of two histories. You're different, the person is different. Even if you're in the same family with someone, you'll still be different. You have different ideologies. So I always tell them, first of all, to be open-minded. Communication is key. Try to communicate with this person, get to know them. Because if you don't know them, you can't actually love them, right? And if you don't love them, you can't get married to them. So communication is key. But even if you have a different ideology about certain things, I sit them and I have conversations with them. Like, let me give you an instance. I think the call, when we're in the room, someone talked about, when, some guy that had issues dating people online. But they said, and I was nodding my head because I've had certain people reach out to me and say this kind of things too. But I always tell people that, that is never a one-way street. You can't have everything. People have fantasies in their head. They have perceptions. I always tell people, when I was younger, I had a crush on Brandy. Did I get married to Brandy? No. But I still married someone based on, my values and say my ideologies that I changed over the time. So basically what I tell people is that they need to know that they're not perfect themselves, They're evolving as human beings. So they don't expect to meet someone that's perfect, because everybody wants the best thing since sliced bread. Meanwhile, they're also a work in progress. So I always try to talk to them gently and not be offensive, but having them understand that it's something that they should really look into. Everybody, I always tell them that human beings always have patterns, and there are some patterns that sabotage potential relationships, and they need to detect those patterns to be able to solve their dating problems. And that's what I try to do with them. I try to identify those patterns, and I try to correct those things for them.
Great. Yeah, there's a lot of coaching in matchmaking. One of my favorite lines comes from Violet Lim in Lunch, actually. And she says, to find the one, you need to be the one. Right?
Exactly.
It kind of sets the tone, doesn't it? Makes you think.
Exactly.
So how are we doing for time? Oh, we've knocked out half an hour already. Geez. So let's go to Q&A. We better go to some Q&A. Let's see what questions we've got. We've got a few questions here. Right. I think, do we? Oh, no, you've got chat. You didn't put questions in, folks. Do you have any questions for us? I'm going to look through the chat, see if you've got anything. Okay, so I guess I asked lots of good questions because you've not got any. So let's have a look. So I asked about Prime Flutter. What do you think about the? Yeah. So what do you think? Another question for you, actually. One more. We'll just round it out. What do you think is the market potential?
We're still scratching the surface.
Yeah.
We're still scratching the surface. Like, we've only actively marketed in Nigeria, and we've grown in other countries organically.
Yeah.
Like in Kenya, we have over 60,000 organic subscribers from there.
That's amazing.
And in other parts of the world, we've been growing organically. So we're scratching the surface in terms of our growth, in terms of our revenue, in terms of a lot of things. So the market size, it's really huge, worth like millions and millions of dollars. So we're still scratching the surface. And we know that by the time we get to the diaspora, we feel that we'll be able to do better and do more. An example would be Moose. I happen to have met the founder of Moose, Shazad, last year, and I've noticed that he started that diaspora play in America. He started advertising recently there because there's a lot of market there. There are a lot of people there that would really use his product. And that's the same thing. That's the same feeling I have. I feel that there are a lot of people in the diaspora, Africans in the diaspora, that are really keen to see something like this, be there and something that they can use. So the opportunities are endless for us.
And what can we do to help you? Is there anything in particular that's challenging right now? Is there anybody in the audience that you've got a question for, perhaps? And we'll leave it hanging, and I'll just introduce you after. But I just like to put it out there if there's anything that we can help you with.
Okay, for me or for them?
For you, we want to help you.
Oh yeah, I'm always open. I'm always open to anybody that knows me knows that I'm very open to partnerships. Anything that you feel that we can work on together, we can use to boost companies. I'm very open to that. I really don't know for me, expansion is key to me. So any ways of expanding, if it's events in the diaspora, you want us to partner, I'm open to that. There are a few people that I've spoken to today that I feel that they have great services that we could also partner with. I can also partner with them. But basically, I'm open to partnership as long as it helps both of us grow as companies and founders. I'm very open to that.
Great. Thank you very much, Dario Olatoye. You are the CEO and co-founder of Trueflutter. Thank you very much for your time today. And this was a great interview. I really learned a lot, and I'm sure our community has really enjoyed this interview. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, for this platform. Really, really love what you do, and really appreciate me being on this platform. I really appreciate you bringing me on, and
great.
We'll always be here.
Yeah, good. Yeah, let's follow your story. Please keep us posted on your news for onlinepersonswatch.com as well.